I think 2025 is a tricky year, very tricky year in African football, and with everything we considered, because we've just seen the UEFA Champions League final. PSG win by 5 goals to 0. Hakimi is scoring a goal, and I think most obviously that should make him a favorite for the African Player of the Year. And I think many should even say he's won it already. And I think I agree with the lots who will say that. But I'm coming to give you some reasons why that could maybe not happen. I'm using the word maybe because it's all on possibilities. I don't know what I'm doing. So Hakimi played a crucial role, a very important role in PSG, winning the Champions League. Not only that, winning the French Cup, in winning the French Liga, and I think winning I forgot the name of the trophy, but then they won one at the start of the season. I think it was the French Super Cup. He played a crucial role in all of them in winning all those trophies, and I mean, deservedly. Even for me, I think he should be in the race for the Ballon d'Or because always watching the Ballon d'Or in recent times, they always give it to the players who step up at the latter end of the season. So, in previous years, you see a player score in the semis, score in the final, score in the quarter of the Champions League, and then boom, they are giving the Ballon d'Or. And Hakimi has done the same. I mean, he scored in the quarterfinal against Aston Villa in the Champions League. He scored in the semis against Arsenal. He scored in the final too against Inter Milan. So he's done it all, and probably most likely should enter the conversation for the Ballon d'Or. But how could have even made it a lot more, let me say, a lot more interesting, a lot more very, very possible was that if the AFCON was held earlier, because the AFCON this year is scheduled to be held in December. Initially, it was supposed to happen in July of 2025, but had to be moved at the latter end to that is December. And the Ballon d'Or event will be in September of 2025. So that means we'll have that event before the AFCON. So performances from the AFCON will not really contribute to who is the best player in the world. But imagine if the AFCON was in July and Hakimi has an amazing AFCON. He gets maybe a couple of 2 or 1 goal and then some 3 or 4 assists. And then Morocco goes on to also win the AFCON on home soil. I mean, it would have massively boosted his calls to win the Ballon d'Or, and we could have probably seen the first African to win it since, is it 1995? Yeah, I think so. We would have probably seen the first African to win it before then. But quite unfortunately, the AFCON is in December, so outside of the Ballon d'Or calendar. But this same AFCON can also play a crucial role as to who wins the African Player of the Year because, I mean, as I mentioned, I think the leading man is Hakimi. If he was being held today, most likely Hakimi would have been crowned the best player in Africa. And he's deserved this because over the years, he's always been close. I think 2 years ago, he was close. Last year, he was also close. And people even thought he deserved it, but then he went to other persons who also equally deserved to win the African Player of the Year. And if we are giving the award now, I think Hakimi would have won it hands down. But the issue is the CAF Awards is mostly being organized in December. You know what is happening in December this year, right? It's the AFCON. So I'm not so sure. I don't know though. I don't know, but I'm not so sure CAF Awards and then AFCON will be organized at the same time because you need to, I mean, the CAF Awards is the main events that really covers everything. So most likely, either the CAF Awards will be before the AFCON or after the AFCON. If it's before the AFCON, then maybe Hakimi wins the best player on the continent. But if it's after the AFCON, then it gives us a whole new conversation because some players could have an incredible AFCON and literally snatch everything away. I think there is no Guinea. There is no Guinea at this AFCON, so you can't really have a say for Girassi. But what if Mo Salah steps up at this AFCON? He wins the tournament eventually with Egypt. He probably wins the Goal King or wins the best player of the tournament. It's going to give him massive points, especially from what he's done with Liverpool this season. And he can challenge Hakimi for the African Player of the Year with a very good AFCON tournament. What if someone else has a good AFCON, an extremely good AFCON? Maybe an Ibrahim Adel has an extremely good AFCON. Maybe he wins the Champions League in Africa, has an extraordinarily good AFCON with Egypt, wins it, I mean, it changes the narrative, it changes the conversation and everything. So, in one way, the AFCON could have given Hakimi better shouts to win the Ballon d'Or if it was being held earlier. But also in another vein, it can stop him from winning the African Player of the Year if someone else like outshines him by far at the AFCON. If maybe, even though it's not very likely to happen, if maybe Morocco doesn't do so well at the AFCON and Salah does so well, I mean, it changes the narrative. But if Morocco does extremely well, maybe they get to the semis, they get to the final, they win the AFCON, I think that shuts down every narrative. It will shut down every conversation. It will make him the undisputed best African footballer of the year. But that's what I was thinking. Let me know your thoughts. I mean, what I was thinking right now. That's what I was just thinking. I said, let me make a video and then ask my people on here what they also think about this whole thing. As whether the AFCON really have an impact on the African Player of the Year, or Hakimi should win it even without the performance from the AFCON.